Do you ever find yourself thinking, like, why do I keep thinking these thoughts over and over? Why do these emotions keep coming up for me? Or why do I keep attracting the same experiences? Why can't I let them go? Well, if so, that might be why you attracted today's video. So I'm going to share my screen with you because that's exactly what we talked about in today's dojo. We meet live every Tuesday. And if you're not able to join us live, then I'm so glad you attracted this video replay. Um, Today's conversation was just exactly about that. It's like those thoughts, those emotions that we have, and we're wondering, like, why don't they go away? Why does this keep coming up for me? Last week in the dojo, we talked about life is an energy game and seeing through the illusion of effort. So if you were unable to join us live or you missed the video, I will put a link to that video at the end of this video. But today's topic, we're going to be talking about declining the mind's invitation. Just because the mind invites you to something doesn't mean you have to go. And that's exactly what I was talking about when I said, you have these reoccurring thoughts, right? They just keep coming up for you. Thoughts about doubt, thoughts about fear, maybe the emotion of fear, the emotion of guilt. Maybe, you're experiencing that imposter syndrome and you think like, who am I to share this kind of stuff? These are invitations that the mind is sending all the time. And remember, an invitation from the mind is simply a form arising, a form of thought, a form of emotion, a form of experience. And you have the ability to decline these forms, these invitations at any time. And they really come up like temptations, right? Invitations from the mind are subtle prompts that try to pull your awareness into identification with a story, a belief, or an emotional pattern. The story, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, or oh, I'm never going to figure this out, or I'm never going to have the social status that I need in order to get where I want to be, or in order to whatever it is that you're telling yourself. Remember, last week we talked about words and the vibration of words. We've talked about that in several of the dojo topics and the discussions. And when these temptations come up for you and you buy into the story of not being good enough, or a belief or an emotional pattern, these are all invitations from the mind. They're not neutral thoughts. They come with a tug, an emotional charge, or a sense of urgency. They invite you to step out of awareness and step into the drama of the mind. An invitation from the mind is a thought that says, come with me, believe this, react to this, make this real. Sometimes the invitations we receive don't come from people, they come from the mind. They arrive as thoughts like, what if I lose my job? I just don't know that I have what it takes in order to make this happen. Or, oh my gosh, if people really find out that I can't do the things I say I can, then I'm going to get fired. Uh, Maybe you've been trying to get a hold of someone and they've been out of touch, and right away the mind goes to like, oh, they're ignoring you. You must have done something wrong. You must have offended them. These are all invitations that we too often accept as reality, as true. These thoughts act as invitations, tempting us to believe them, to RSVP yes, and stepping into an entire story built on illusion. But when you rest as awareness, you have the power to decline the invitation. So, what does that mean? Rest as awareness. Well, that is who you are, the effortless awareness, the infinite being. Because think about it. You're not thinking your thoughts. You're not your thoughts. There is an awareness of your thoughts. You are that awareness. And when you realize the difference, when you can distinguish the difference, because the thoughts come from the dualistic mind, and awareness comes from non-duality. We've talked about that in past topics as well. So remember, when you're resting as awareness, you have the power to decline the invitations. When we accept the mind's invitation, we take delivery of a thought stream and we make it feel real. So if you will use that same example, you've been trying to get a hold of somebody and they've been unreachable, and you're telling yourself, oh my gosh, I must have said something wrong. I must have offended this person. I must have, they don't want to talk to me anymore. Now your thoughts are going in that direction and you're accepting those invitations of thought. And before you know it, what are you doing? You're going out of your way to make this person, try to force this person to get in touch with you. And instead of practicing unconditional love for yourself and for that person, maybe there's a reason that person needs space. Why do you have to play out a scenario and accept those invitations that there's something wrong rather than just surrendering and saying, you know, this is out of my control. I'm believing in myself, and whatever's meant to happen will happen. Total surrender in the moment, in the situation, in the experience, total surrender. So you're declining the invitation that something must be wrong. When we decline an invitation, we just simply remain as awareness, untouched, free, and able to witness without attachment. That's complete surrender. Doesn't that feel good? When a thought arises, notice the subtle tug, the urge to react, fix, defend, or explain. In that moment, pause and say, thank you for sharing. I'm choosing to decline this invitation. So what does that mean to decline an invitation? Well, let's kind of go through this a little bit. So notice an invitation as though it's an unwanted text message. You can get a text message. Maybe it's from somebody that's soliciting something, someone that's trying to get you to, I don't know, join their program, something. It's an unwanted text, meaning it's coming from someone you don't know. They've just got a hold of your number and they're sending you these random texts, hoping that you'll buy into it. But it's bugging on your one good nerve. Now, here's what you can do, right? Because we all have that ability. When you get a text, you can delete it, or you can delete it as spam, an unwanted something. And then boom, it's gone, it's done, it's no longer in your vision of sight. But not all of us do that. Some of us, we have to make a story, right? We have to create a story about it. We're like, oh my gosh, who are these people? How did they get my number? Why do I keep getting these text messages from them? I'm so sick of this. And then we tell our friends, are you getting text messages from so-and-so company? Aren't you sick of it? And then we go on social media. And then we're like, anybody else out there getting, you see? We are creating it. We are accepting the invitation to make this more than it is. And then we're using words to create this vibrational frequency. And then those words are creating a story. When all we need to do is decline the invitation, just like a text message. You just swipe, decline it. We have the power to do that. So, as an example, take a minute and think of a recurring invitation, such as a thought, an emotion, something that's recurring for you, something that continues to come up for you. Maybe it's self-doubt. Maybe it's guilt, anger, control. Think of an invitation that seems to surface for you, that you receive quite often that you would prefer not to receive. And when you have that invitation in your mind, don't put a lot of thought into it. Just let's bring something up. Now, notice how your body reacts when you accept the invitation and when you decline the invitation. Just like that text message. So maybe it's an invitation into anger, and you find yourself accepting an invitation into anger. Notice how the body reacts. Now just think about declining that invitation. What if I just stopped accepting the invitation into anger? What would my life be like then? See, you have the power to do either or. But when you decline an invitation, do it gracefully. Do it with neutrality of emotion, of energy. Just simply say, no, thank you. It's so that you're not resisting it. You're not sitting there going, I don't want to be angry anymore. I just don't understand. I notice it as an invitation. What if I just stopped accepting the invitation to anger? What if I just decline this invitation? What if I see it as a form arising, like, air bubbles just floating through the sky, clouds passing by? Oh yeah, look, there goes anger. Oh yeah. And when you decline that invitation enough times, you'd be amazed at what happens, because there are no voids in the universe. There's no void of space. So when you let something go, something else is going to come in and fill that space. Now you could fill that space with something you prefer. Because declining the mind's invitation isn't rejection, it's discernment. It's how we honor truth over illusion. It's how we stay anchored in awareness without accepting invitations into suffering. So the next time you get a thought, an invitation into a thought, when a thought first arises, ask the question, who is sending this invitation? Oh my gosh, I do that all the time. When something unwanted comes up, something that has a reaction of like, wonder where that's coming from. I immediately say, who is sending this invitation? Immediately, you'll notice a shift in your energy. There will be a calmness or a stillness, because the answer is no one. Asking this question disrupts the energy between the thought stream and the emotion attached to it, because you are not your thoughts. When there's a form arising as a thought in the infinite field of awareness, see it as thought knocked, awareness answered, and there was nobody there. Think of it like calling the mind's bluff. I call your bluff. Yeah, you're not real. You're sending a message that says, I recognize your persistence, but I'm not playing your game anymore. When you decline the invitations enough times, the mind will eventually stop inviting you. It's just like when you order on Amazon, right? You order something and then Amazon sends you these ads or something that says, hey, you ordered this. Would you like this? You'll keep getting those invitations until you stop ordering that particular thing. And that's the same way with the mind. When you stop accepting the invitations for something, you'll stop getting those invitations. Once you choose to decline the invitation, the first step No matter how shiny or inviting the invitation seems to be, decline it by thinking or saying, there is awareness to take delivery of an unwanted invitation. Remember, we want to stay away from the words I, me, my, or mine. Because when you use those four words, you're personalizing it, you're taking it in. That's um, stepping into the duality of the mind, the personal self. That's when you're believing that you don't have a choice. And the cool thing about declining invitations, you don't even need to describe it. You don't have to figure out what it is. You don't have to put a name to it. Oh, I can see that I'm having an invitation to anger. No, just notice something in the body that feels different from the way you want to feel. And remember how you feel in any given moment. That's your state of being. So if your state of being is not one of happiness, joy, love, expression of bliss, then you have the opportunity to say, I can change my state of being at any moment simply by declining this invitation that's coming up. If it doesn't feel good, decline it. And after your no, enjoy a yes to create an energy shift. Like you could create a yes list. I have a yes list. I love it. So think about it. You get an invitation for maybe declining anger or for anger, and you decline that invitation. Now, when you say, okay, yeah, I decline that invitation, then just look at your yes list. I have it on my phone because my phone's always with me. And I'll just go through, and maybe it's just all of a sudden you can say, yes, to going out and go shopping. Yes, to laughing. Yes, to watching a funny movie. Yes, to doing something I really enjoy. Yes, to receiving more money. Whatever it is that lights you up. And then you'll notice you're not saying, I wish I had. You're not trying to make something happen. You're not efforting. You're simply saying yes to something you enjoy. Now that completely shifts your vibrational frequency because you want to create enthusiasm. Your yes list will create enthusiasm for you. It creates enthusiasm for the things you do want to receive invitations for. And when I really started thinking about this, I'm like, well, I love my yes list. It's makes me so enthusiastic of possibilities and what can happen. And then I looked up the etymology of enthusiasm. I don't know about you, but I love thinking and realizing and learning about where words come from and why they're so important because all words have a vibrational frequency and that vibrational frequency creates, right? So when you know the etymology of the words you're using, now they take on a different energy frequency for you. So just think about it, a state of being filled with or inspired by a God or the universe, your higher self, whatever your definition of that is. Isn't that amazing? Now, do you see the word enthusiasm in a completely different way? You went from wanting to decline an invitation, choosing to decline an invitation, to now being in this frequency of enthusiasm. Oh my gosh. Create as much enthusiasm as you like. And remember, just because the mind invites you doesn't mean you have to go. So, what do you think? Are you seeing these thoughts, feelings, emotions, invitations into something you'd prefer not to be experiencing in a different way now? Are you able to see how you hold all the power? You have all the power? When something happens and like, I don't know, maybe let's say you cut your finger and you're like, oh my God, I cut my finger. And you're like, okay, I got to take care of it. But then the next day you look at your finger and there's a bandage on it. Well, if you keep thinking about it and how it happened and everything, you're going to keep accepting that invitation for the trauma of cutting your finger. It's the same, no matter what it is, a thought, an emotion, an experience. You hold all the power. And when you decide that you're going to stop accepting invitations to the things you don't want in life, remember, there is no void in the universe. So if you get rid of that, you're making room for all the possibilities of what can be. If you want any kind of support with declining invitations, visit me at masteringyourbeliefs.com. In the meantime, this is Nancy Muller, the one and only Life Sensei, saying ciao for now.